The purpose of this video and subsequent videos is to find Jesus Christ in the Hebrew Torah, the prophets, and the writings, seen through the lenses of the New Testament. And so I would like to say a word about those who have helped me in this work. I want to thank John Nemiti and Bob Barata, who helped transcribe this work for me. I had done an audio, and they were kind enough to transcribe it. I would also like to thank my son, Todd Statz, who is a very gifted writer, for helping to edit the introduction to this work, and also Judy Kitchen, who was a former student of mine. The title of it online is The Person and Work of Jesus Christ in Each Book of the Old Testament, Seen in its New Testament Fulfillment, an Emmaus Walk. And if anyone wants to follow along in the written text, it can be found in Google Books. It has also been published in Logos Bible software. But I wanted to put it out in actually a short video, can I say, presentations. So as we begin, I want to start with the introduction. This was, like I said, edited by my son, Todd Statz, who is a very gifted writer. One of the greatest moments of biblical history occurred on a dusty ancient road that led to a small village about 7 miles outside of Jerusalem called Emmaus. Jesus Christ appeared and walked alongside 2 of his despondent followers soon after they saw him perish on a cross. As they walked, he began to boldly interpret the Hebrew scripture, placing himself directly into the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, or the Torah, the prophets, and the writings, in the threefold division of the Hebrew scriptures. In these chapters, or in these video sessions, I will touch on each of these Old Testament sections and highlight the Christological moments contained therein. It is my hope and prayer that I can help illuminate Jesus Christ as the center of both the Old and the New Testament, the perfect culmination of God's act of creation. So I begin with the first book of the Hebrew Bible, Bereshit, or Genesis. And we begin, I believe, in Genesis 1 of seeing Christ seen through New Testament lenses as the agent of creation. Again, at the very moment before time as we know it today could be measured, the moment when God spoke the universe into existence, we begin appropriately there in Genesis. The opening phrases of the great book of Genesis contain important milestones along the biblical path that leads, I believe, to the Messiah, the Mashiach. Genesis 1 reads, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Or in Hebrew, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim v'et ha'aretz. I believe John refers in the New Testament to these specific words as he develops his Christology in the first verses of his gospel, beginning with the phrase "en arche ein Logos. In the beginning was the Word, John 1:1. John is making the forceful and radical point that Jesus Christ is eternal, existing from the beginning before the material world came to be. He was face to face with God. He was fully divine and fully equal with God the Father, John tells us. For example, in verse 1, it says, the Word in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was pros ton theon, which I would translate face to face with God, and the Word was God or divine. A predicate nominative showing that the Word is carrying the nature of being fully God in the Greek text there. So then we move on. We are further told that all things were made by him. Panta di autua genita, kai kuris autua genita udechen chageganin. That is, all things were made by him, and without him was not one thing made that was made. John is clearly, I believe, referring back to Genesis 1 here. The scriptures tell that God said, Vayomer Elohim, and God said in the Hebrew. And we are looking in Genesis 1 at God as the king who caused creation into being in Genesis 1:3. And that's why Elohim is used. It's interesting in Genesis 2, Yod He Vav He, which we could pronounce as Yahweh, is used, which shows God as a potter. We have these two beautiful different images of God as, first of all, the king on the throne speaking, and then God forming man as a potter. We then move on. Jesus Christ, the eternal Word, the second person of the Trinity, John tells us, is the agent through which God created the world. In Genesis 1, the Hebrew also reads Yehi or let there be light. John tells us that Jesus Christ in his gospel is that eternal light, and that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness could not, the word used in the Greek is katelevin, that is, could not mug it out or take it down, snuff it out. It actually has, katalambano has two meanings in John, in that text. It means did not understand it, which is one meaning of katalambano. It also means did not overcome it. And that word is unique in the Greek. It has a dual significance, a double entendre, a double understanding. So Jesus Christ cannot be understood until one has a personal relationship with him, just like we don't know people unless we have a personal relationship. We might know their name, but not knowing them intimately. Same with Christ, but also the darkness could not overcome. Notice Jesus Christ, the light, is referred to then by John, going back to Genesis. And John tells us that that light continues to shine. And I believe he's talking about the resurrection as the ultimate victory over sin and over darkness. In this sense, John sees the light created in Genesis, I believe, as foreshadowing Christ's direct intervention in history, culminating in his own death and glorious resurrection. It is interesting in the Greek, it reads, the light is shining, continues to shine, phine, in the darkness, and the darkness did not katelevin, did not overcome it, with that dual meaning. So John uses the word logos for Jesus Christ throughout chapter 1 of his gospel, knowing, I believe, that it would remind his readers of the Aramaic word memra. The word memra in Aramaic means word. And in the Jerusalem, the Targum Jerusalem, Yerushalmi, an Aramaic translation of the Hebrew Bible, the word memra is used interchangeably with God. Remember, the Targums were interpretations that were read in Aramaic in a synagogue service, actually defining and giving, we might call, a commentary on the Hebrew text. So in the Aramaic Targum, it says the memra, it means God said. You'll read along in the Targum, it will say God created, and then the memra said. So Jesus Christ, I believe, is seen by John as the eternal memra, the eternal word, the second person of the Holy Trinity, sharing equality with God the Father.